Today is being dubbed Homecoming Day. It is the repatriation of those that have been brought back, the remains of those that died in exile. And today they are, of course, going to be laid to rest in Freedom Park. And that's something that is going to be an exceptionally special morning this morning. And we've got our reporters on the scene. They're going to be covering the story for us. As you can see right now on our blocks, we've got our international desk there, Sophie Mokoena. We've also got Kailihle Kumalo, who's also going to be stationed out there this morning. And then, of course, Kani Mapanga. So we really do have all areas and roads covered because we'll be following that cortege of the vehicles that are transporting the remains to Freedom Park at the military, with the M1 military hospital. And we'll be following that motorcade as soon as it begins. But let's actually check in with all of our reporters at the moment and find out how things are going this morning. It's a very, very early start, Sophie, but we believe that the cortege is going to begin where you are, and then we'll be able to follow them until it gets to Freedom Park. So a very good morning to you, Sophie.
Good morning, Leanne. Good morning to the viewers. Yes, indeed, we are here outside one military hospital. You know that this is the Defence Force facilities. Quite a historic hospital, as you know that the former late Minister of Sports, Steve Tshwete, died here at this hospital. We also know that the body of the late former President Nelson Mandela was kept here, and every morning it was transported to Union Buildings for viewing, and therefore it is quite a historic site. As you know that most of the people who died and who are here, those remains belong to people who were fighting for freedom, and therefore they were soldiers. You know that during the integration of the then force under the apartheid regime and the other forces that fought for freedom, it was agreed that all those who fought for freedom, all those who were soldiers outside the country, are part of the Defence Force processes and procedures, and therefore some of them, when they are ill, they are being taken here. As you see now, we have these remains here. We expect that the remains will be transported to Freedom Park, quite a very historic site also. As you know that Freedom Park was built with the intention to ensure that you have a site of remembrance, particularly in terms of telling the story of the freedom. You know that that Freedom Park, you have 5 different sites that includes Isivivana, It is not necessarily a real kraal, but it is something that looks like a kraal with stones, and that is where most of the spiritual ceremonies are being conducted, particularly when you look at those people whose names also are appearing in their wall remembrance, where you have names of people who participated during the struggle. You also know that Freedom Park is near Voortrekker Monument. Voortrekker Monument, it is also a landmark place where we know that the Afrikaners decided to build that after the Great Trek from Cape Town to the then Transvaal, and they settled there. And this is part of where you have a place where they always visit during special moments to remember that great trek. You have UNISA, the University of South Africa, the oldest university here in Pretoria. You have the Union Buildings, the seat of government, and therefore Pretoria is quite a historic place, but historic looking at what the people who died for freedom fought for. Today, we know that in Union Buildings you have the new government, the democratic government, and that started since 1994. And therefore, today it will be that important moment. And I think my colleague Kaya Kumalo is at Sivivana, and also Kani Mapanga.
Indeed, thank you to our international editor, Sophie Mokoena. As we draw the curtains on Heritage Month, I am at the amphitheatre in Freedom Park, which is nestled on a hill that overlooks the capital city of Tshwane here in South Africa, as we prepare to celebrate the lives of heroes and heroines who died in the liberation struggle to enjoy the democracy that we enjoy today. Now, we expect that when that cortege moves from the one military hospital, they will arrive here at the amphitheatre for this all-important occasion where the President will oversee this honouring ceremony towards these liberation fighters. Of course, Freedom Park is quite a critical site which is important to the preservation of the nation's struggle, where we come from, where we're going, and our current present. The heritage of South Africa, the rich legacy, is where you'll find these artifacts here in Freedom Park, which is constantly celebrated. To give you a quick scene setter of this venue behind me that has been set up, we know that Freedom Park opened its doors in December of 2007. As you can see, the amphitheatre has been prepared, I think, overnight for this momentous occasion that is going to take place. In the front rows where you'll see the dignitaries seated there, that is the president along with dignitaries from Zimbabwe and Zambia, as they prepare to welcome the mortal remains of just over 40 of those liberation heroes, including notably former ANC Secretary General, that is Duma Nokwe. And then, of course, here in the front row, you don't see it yet, but that is where the mortal remains will be placed, as the ceremony is expected to start from about 10 a.m. And we can expect that some of those family members will be here this morning to celebrate those lives, and then, of course, reflect on the hefty price that has been paid by these liberation fighters in us enjoying the constitutional democracy that we enjoy today. And then, of course, also reflecting on how far we've come 30 years into democracy and returning these mortal remains today. Whether that, the question rather, whether the hefty price that was paid was worth it, and whether South Africans enjoy the kind of life that those liberation struggle heroes imagined when they left their families, left their loved ones, went into these various camps and fought for the liberation struggle. But of course, we'll be giving you those hourly updates as we continue to catch up with some of those military veterans, as well as the family members, as we lead up to the special momentous occasion. Of course, my colleague Kaihle Khumalo is not too far from me at Freedom Park, standing by there at the Isvivane site. Over to you, Kaya.
Well, certainly, Kani, quite a very important moment for South Africa, where we're positioned. It is a very vantage point right in Isvivane. So loosely translated as a place of boulders or rocks, Leanne. We do know that it's all about also celebrating the heritage of South Africa, as the country is paying homage to these heroes and heroines, really who paid an ultimate sacrifice, really fighting for South Africans really to enjoy the democracy that we have. So there's a lot of significance that is attached to Isvivane. So it's all about the spiritual world. In the matter of time or so, we're expecting the interfaith rituals to be performed here, especially because we do understand when the exhumation process was underway in Zambia and Zimbabwe, the NPA Missing Task Team and many other entities within the Arts and Culture and Sports Department, they had to really make sure that they do comply with these rituals in terms of really just giving the decency and the dignity, really just important in this regard. But also something that is really seminal at this point, Leanne, was really listening to the testimonies of the families when the remains got here in South Africa. So there was a sense of relief, there was a sense of gratitude, saying really thank you to these countries that really housed the freedom fighters, because they really paid also a price where the apartheid regime in some instances really would have these raids conducted where they were hunting the freedom fighters. So it's quite a very important occasion where also the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, is expected to be here in Freedom Park, Leanne, a very important place. I mean, you go back to 1999 when Nelson Mandela said, this is going to be a shrine of the people to respect and really pay homage to really all the freedom fighters, but honoring all the heroes and heroines in our country.